It is Cybercoop and welcome to patch review number 1.61 for Cyberpunk 2077. This is all very enjoyable stuff because we have mentions of a massive amount of gig fixes, and there's actually a Cyber Psycho mission that involved a garage door not opening that they've managed to fix, meaning you can complete that set. That wasn't doable before, very welcome. Gameplay's got some interesting stuff in it, including mention of umbrellas being put on the NPCs. When I think about what Cyberpunk needs, it's not umbrellas on the people walking around in the street, but we do have some material on collision with the vehicles. We've also got some mention of floating and displaced objects, which could be interesting, so I've had to test this by just bashing around, having a look at what's immediately changed on a surface level, and also that umbrella thing did not come to fruition. I had a number of interesting things happen to me on this patch review, some of which blatantly I know were around before 1.61, but they all happened in the same place at the same time in a relatively small area of the map, so it was quite a overwhelming experience, especially to have within the Cyberpunk Night City map. Now, one thing about this umbrella issue is that to see the NPCs get them out, it's going to have to be raining. Now, Cyberpunk's got the most skimpy rain ratio of any open world video game on Earth. It's ridiculous. I've only had it rain on me twice, and I'm up to 170 hours on 2 different machines with the game. While also looking at my gold-plated Vilfort, which is a spawn, a find. It wasn't something that I earned in-game, and it's quite a famous brand within the canon of the story because it's the same taxi or firm that you have an actual side quest with that crazy robot. It's also one of the more throttly cars of the game, and that's something I'm going to get to, is that the lack of car differential and their performance all being capped to some weird 170, 160 mile an hour, which just doesn't look or sound bright. Let's look at this collision stuff, because this one is quite interesting to unravel. When the game was first launched, you couldn't even roll the cars off from their lids, so if they span out and rolled onto the roof, it was over. So then they implemented a method to self-right the vehicle. Hold on a second, it goes full Truman Show on me here. But back to this cars and rolling and roof thing, what I think is put in is that the cars really are hugging the ground. It's like the gravity is up to 11, so that they don't spin, roll around in the air. You'll see on GTA, if you were to collide at top speed in a supercar with a traffic jam, all kinds of bits of other cars or rolling of the fuselages would like tumble out from a safety zone. With this, it's just like you're on rails. The axes, it's like they've taken out the third axis, so the car can only really just lull left or right. But let's look at some of this placement with characters within the map, or things glitching into the actual clipping of the ground or anything else of that nature. Still noticing it. There was a mention of fixes in the patch notes on this particular issue, but yeah, it's still quite frequent. Do want to mention all of this footage is in the performance mode at 60 frames per second and captured at 1080 with this super scaling that they supposedly put in. I don't really like that 4K ray tracing mode with this game. It's to do with the 60 frames per second. I'd much prefer that than the high resolution. And there we go, there's a lovely, beautiful bit of vehicle pop in. That brings back some memories. It's fun to still find them. You do have to look quite closely to spot that. I also didn't know you could do this. Can we have some comments on when this was put in, or whether it was always there, stealing the police cars? I was like, oh my god, and they can take massive damage, and they're really fast. And if you just get out of the crime zone, which is what, a semicircle that disappears after 200 meters, the thing's kind of yours to bugger about with for ages, and I kind of love them. And I didn't even spot there's got a damn siren. So why can we drive around in these police cars and not the police? Well, that does change in a second, because I had an event happen to me, and I know that it's commonplace and not as random as I thought, but once in said police vehicle, I thought, let's just try out some of the damage on these cow bars and really just start seeing if I can glitch it out or get it to behave differently. No, really good, and a very powerful piece of kit, this car. And they come in 2 different types as well. This is the slightly less armoured version. There's one with a back wheel that's all covered in black steel plating. It looks totally epic, and I just cannot stop mucking around with the siren. Apologies if that was something you found out ages ago. I can't believe they didn't put it in a patch note. I would have made it a thumbnail to like loads of videos. Unlock the secret police car, how to get the police car in Night City. No, just me, my little discoveries. Wind. So in my futile attempts to get it raining, I discovered that there is quite a good, and it is relatively new, wind mechanic on a lot of the foliage, branches, trees. Things whip over, and there's a lot more mist, and mist when it is supposed to be, i.e. early morning. There was some crazy stuff happening with it in the sunshine before, but everything's kind of structurally how it's supposed to be, meteorologically almost, apart from the fact that it just never frickin' rains. That mist, when it's at its thickest, when you get in a decent car, you actually can't see round a lot of bends. It turns into quite a white knuckle experience. I was pleasantly surprised with that. You did not have anything like that in base game. Is there any noticeable change or difference with the combat and your enemies with this additional collision adjustments, or objects not clipping out, or them trying to reduce the amount of clippage with things exploding in the wrong place or going into the ground, which was something that happened all the time? I have not noticed any major changes with 1.61 and this update with any of the combat scenarios. They gave that enemy AI a massive kick up the arse in like 1.5, maybe even 1.4. They behave a lot more structurally and have more flanking capability and just more brains than they did when the game originally launched. And there's an interesting situation here where there is a police officer that's involved in an assault. Whenever you intervened with these, you would always be included as a criminal once you started helping out. This thankfully wasn't the case here, and the guy was wandering around, I could interact with them. That was really refreshing.
Oh, all right. At least it was nothing.
He didn't know who I was or what I was doing there or give me any rewards. But the point is, he wasn't attacking me as well as the criminals. It made that divide, which was brilliant. I do love watching and cheesing the AI as well. Some of them have got different animations and great one-liners when you start hacking them or just go full out and have a massive fight with them. Of course, I've got my trusty vehicle to get into for this one. I don't think they take that siren as seriously as they should do, and I think I got the car stuck on a bit of tarpaulin there as well. So not pluses in every direction, and still this thing doesn't take as much damage as I anticipated. I have never played a video game that looks as though it's about to rain as much as Cyberpunk does. The dappling effect they put on the ground detail looks like speckly rain, and there's reflections everywhere. It's wet even without it being rainy, because I think they probably want to show off some of these reflection graphics. But damn, is it annoying. I spent hours clicking the time forward thinking, yep, one more hour, we're going to see a downpour, them umbrellas are going to come out, and they didn't. And I solemnly apologise to you all for that. Please don't unsubscribe, umbrella lovers. Just showing off the stop starts there again. I know that's an old implementation, but I didn't bugger around with it enough when it first came in. And this is a full speed collision into a traffic jam, which should have resulted in cars flipping left, right and centre. And here's the incident. Could not believe this. This policeman drove past me and the gang was chasing them. There's also a moving vehicle with gangs firing out of the car windows. It's like another video game going on next to you that you want to be playing. The police were firing out of their car. I couldn't believe it. I was like, guys, you get me involved. So what have I brought you with this update? A bit of wind, fixed the garage door, a bit of mist, cars not tumbling properly, an umbrella update with no rain, everything clipping into everything else. But listen, the game's incredible, and it went on my best looking PlayStation 5 games, and it's one of the top open world dystopian future video games you'll ever get to play. It's totally epic now, and these updates, I know they're small and few and far between, but its base game and what it has to offer you now as an experience, as a AAA experience, is totally on par with everything else out there. So I know I slate it and have a bit of fun, but this game is brilliant and is one of the best looking video games I own. I obviously have been Couch Goo, and I will of course see you all down there.